Fat Neck Jimmy. Oh, yeah. This is good old Fat Neck Jimmy. This is old good old Fat Neck Jimmy. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna play the sports, boys. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This is pretty good. Let me teach you this one. Okay, where is the football? Let's go find a football or some kind of sports to play. What sports are we gonna play today? Okay, boys. Okay, boys. Rowan, Ivan. I'm the gym teacher. Forget all the worries of everything. This the gym teacher. It's a gym teacher. I got a fat neck. Just wanted to tell you that it's okay. It ain't gonna hurt you now. Now I'm gonna teach you how to play sports. Okay, here's what you do. Now this is gonna teach you about every major kind of sports. Football, basketball, and baseball. The best sports there are with skateboarding, when you include skateboarding. That's one of them too. That's one of them too these days. Extreme sports, know what I'm talking about? Okay, so here's how to play basketball, football, and skateboard. Basketball, football, baseball. Yeah, okay, here's how to play baseball. Now, if you don't know how to play baseball, here it is. There's okay. This is the home base. Okay? Can you see my head here? Is my head cut off? Does it look like a body with no head cut off? Oh, man, chicken with his head cut off. Don't do that on the ball field. Okay, so okay, so here's what we do. Okay, this is a home base right here. Oh man, X marks the spot. Go ahead and blow us all. Heck, the people who survived Nazi Germany can't do it here now, can you? Shh, don't tell anyone that X is there. He filmed it for everyone to see. The German people who survived in Nazi Germany as foreigners. What is he doing to? Oh yeah, they were famous too. The famous artists who built this neighborhood. Let's talk about the sports. Okay, if you can think all those things you want in your head. But when you're holding a baseball bat, here's one right here for you. Here's a baseball bat. Okay, this is how to play baseball. This is how to play sports. Baseball, football, and basketball. I'm going to teach you how to play them all. Sum them up real quick. Hopefully I don't have to turn it off before I teach you how to play baseball, because my dad really likes baseball, and maybe the good Lord in heaven only knows what this video is going to be. Somehow somebody will be like, yo, man, and pull me out the door for all I know, because God only knows the future. We don't know the future unless he helps us learn. Now, don't you look at my pants in that way. So, here's how to play baseball. This is like the home base. So this is like the baseball bat. And you stand here like this, holding the bat. Kind of a little bit of the bat comes down past your hands, and the bat's about up to here. I've had it up to here. So this is how to play baseball. So you're up to bat on home base. You're ready. The pitcher is here. He might be Reggie Jackson for all we know. I hope to the Lord he hasn't passed away. And the pitcher is right here. He's pitching like this. He's doing this one. He's doing this one. This is your sports teacher here, teaching you how to play baseball. So the pitcher's here, and he's got the baseball in his hands. He's doing this. He's looking at the other bases. There's third base. There's second base, and there's first base. There's first base, and there's the home base. So the pitcher's doing this, holding the baseball, and he's looking, making sure there might be a guy on third base. There's a guy on third base. There's a guy, there's a guy on first base. He didn't know if he tried to run and steal it to second base or not. So what you do is he's watching, looking, make sure when he's not looking, they try to run and get to the other base. And the way what he does is he throws the ball to the man on his team, on the other team, and he catches the ball. And if that guy tries to steal that base from first to second, if he tries to run to there behind his back when the pitcher ain't looking, and he notices him, he throws it to the guy who's watching second base. And on second base, here's what he does, y'all. Here's what he does. he catches the ball, and here, let's look at this. Here's second base on the floor. Here's second base. Wait. That's first base. Here is can you see this? High. Here is second base. So first base is a little closer to here, I think. So he was on one of the guys on that team with all the players there behind the catcher, who's where the door is. First base is here, and there's a guy from their team who already hit a run, and he got to first base. There's a guy all the way here who's on third base, somewhere on the floor here, standing on here on third base. And the guy on he's all here by himself, man. Teaching you how to play baseball. The guy in first base hit the ball already with the baseball bat. Here's a good baseball bat. He already hit the baseball. Hello. Yeah, it's still filming. I couldn't tell if it was filming or not. He already hit the ball and hit it low, and it just kind of like did that. And as soon as he hit the ball with the bat, he started running to first base to get to a safe place on first base. And then the catcher, or not the catcher, well, the catcher was back there at the door with that glove, back at the door. And here's the pitcher. It came rolling at him. He ran to get it. And meanwhile, the guy that hit the ball down low, who hit it with the baseball, runs to first base. And then he does this one. He goes, woo, and he made it there. But if it was too close and he was trying to throw the ball to the guy on his team, the pitcher was trying to throw it to the guy on his team, he might try to slide in on the dirt and slide in. And once he touches it, he's safe. And he has to keep his foot on it on the first base, and then he's safe. And the purpose of baseball is to when they hit the ball, like if they hit a home run, then all the guys waiting on the bases can take their time if they want, or would walk or jog and go to second base, third base, go to second base, have to touch that with their foot, and then you go to third base, touch that with their foot, and then they go to home base and they touch it with their foot. And that means whoever makes it around all the bases after they hit the ball, and the guys on that team try to get the ball and they try to throw it to their team members who are waiting at the bases and in the outfield, and they all of them, when they hit a home run, if somebody hits a really big home run, then they can all kind of take their time, and they know it's already a home run that went way out in the stands, and past where the baseball field is. And then they walk around the bases and they get to home. And anytime one man gets all around all the bases to first, second, third, and home, that means one run batted in. and that's counted. The score is counted for that team as a 1. And if there are people waiting on the bases there, then and they all get batted in. I think runs batted in. It may just be the score. I don't know. I'd have to get really specific on, but I know how to play baseball. So then, if there are 2 people waiting there, and the new guy hits a home run, then that's 3 people going all the way around to the home base, and that's a score of 3 for that team, and it's pretty good. And then the other team, who is this pitcher right here, who has the ball going like this. He has the ball in his hands, and he's trying to do this, and he throws the ball towards the guy hitting the baseball. His team are watching. There's one man watching each base, first, second, and third base, and there are people in the outfield, and the catcher who has a baseball glove, who's behind the home run base, where the other team is doing this to hit the ball, and that team who has a man on each base and the people in the outfield, they also have a catcher with a baseball glove on, like this, and he's waiting, because when the pitcher throws the ball, if this guy with the baseball bat goes like this, or like tries to barely hit it or something like that, and the ball goes within this area, not too close to his hand, within here where the bat is, and kind of, it can be a little higher or lower, maybe about there, or not too low. And if he swings the bat, without hitting the door, and he goes and tries to hit it, and if he misses, and the ball goes past the baseball bat, and the catcher catches it in his catcher's mitt, that means the guy with the baseball, and the guy's there, but the guy with the baseball, don't close the door, there wouldn't be any door there on a real baseball field. The guy who with the baseball bat, who wait a second, here's how he swings it. He goes like this. He doesn't do it like golf. I was confusing it with golf. But he hits the baseball, usually, or he swings and misses, and it goes right to the catcher sometimes. And that's 1 strike. That's 1 strike. And if he misses it, okay, then the catcher throws it back to the pitcher. The pitcher who was throwing the ball to him from way back there. And then, if he swings the bat to hit the ball another time and misses it, and the ball goes past him, the catcher catches it in his glove. He catches it in his glove back there. That's strike 2. And then he's really got to hit the ball that time, because he doesn't want to be out. Because if it's strike 3, then he's out. So the catcher for their team, those guys who are pitching it and in the outfield and watching each base, they also have this. Catcher with a catcher's glove on, a baseball glove, here waiting on the team to catch the ball and throw it to the first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, somebody who runs up into near where the home base is, and he mans or watches or womans He might be a woman, we don't know. He watches the home base, and he has the pitcher's glove. And he's waiting here. He has a mask to protect his face because the pitcher's throwing a ball really fast, like maybe 100 miles an hour or 120, some super fast pitchers. Or it could be a curve ball that goes like that, like from way back there to like, who knows what. If he throws it wrong, it could go past his head. And then, I'm not really that good at baseball, but that's how my cousins talk. That's how my cousins talk about it in New York. But they're on that guy's team. Nobody would throw a curveball up in there like crazy if they're a professional baseball player. But some people might. Some people might who are just regular people playing baseball. So then the catcher's waiting. It was 2 strikes for the batter. Then whoever the batter is, because I was also the catcher, the pitcher, playing the different characters, maybe one person out there has gotten 2 strikes. Hopefully not on YouTube, and for God's sake, I hope they don't get 3 strikes. So they're worried, maybe a little, because they don't want to get 3 strikes, they're out. Then it's another batter up. It's not that bad. There's an next batter up after that. I don't know. So he's got to hit the ball. He's got to hit the ball. And so he's got to hit the ball. So he's waiting, and the pitcher is there, and there are 2 guys on each base. There's one on first, one on third, nobody on second. And the pitcher is like way back there, and he's going like this with the ball in his hands, ready to throw it, towards really far, because he's way back there. And then here's where the batter is. The batter is here. He is here, and then you got 2 strikes. It's pretty bad. Not that bad. So what? It happens pretty often. Almost every baseball player has been struck out before. It's pretty normal. Then the next guy comes up to bat, and they try to, they have some chances at that. So he's up to bat. The pitcher throws the ball, and it comes really close to his body. And if it hit his body, then he gets to, it's okay for him to walk to first base. And then I think the third baseman can walk to home, and that's a run batted in if he was already on third, I think. But he might have to stay there. So I don't know if I remember the rules on that or not. But I played baseball when I was a kid. So I might have to study the rules and see what he'd have to do there. And maybe I could play in a baseball team again, because I'm kind of, healthy enough to play baseball. But maybe it's for my kids. It's probably for my kids who are younger, so maybe they can do it. And maybe I can play with them. And who knows, if I get super athletic, you may be surprised that someone out there might become a professional athlete for the national, is it called the National Baseball League or American Baseball League? It was so long ago that I knew how to play baseball and had a bunch of baseball cards. And I had Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, the Brooklyn Dodgers baseball cards way back to the 50s. And way back to the 50s and some other baseball cards. They weren't that expensive back then. It was the 80s. And somebody took all my baseball cards. I don't know. And it's no big worry. And then he's up to bat. He struck. He got 2 strikes. He did this trying to hit the ball, and the ball he missed and went right past him. The catcher caught it. So he has to hit it one more time. This is the last chance. So the pitcher throws it, and it goes like close to his body. So if it hit his body, he'd get to walk to first. And I think that third baseman, I don't know if he stays there or gets to walk home too. I can't recall. But if there's a second baseman there, then I know he gets to walk to there, and I think, yeah, if there's a first, second, and third baseman, of course, if he got hit by the ball, one person gets to walk to first, and he can take his time. He doesn't have to run to it to be safe. So if they throw the ball and it comes near his body, he also can do this. He can lean back. He can, even though it was coming towards his body, like here, and would have hit his body or hands, oh man, then he'd get to just walk to first unless he was really hurt. Usually they don't really get hurt. But here's what happens. They throw it right near his, say like this time, they pitched it right near his body. It's coming near his body, and he like leans back, and it hits this part of the bat, so it's not going to go like really far, and it would like hit the ground, and it would like kind of roll. So that means he actually hit it, and it's not the pitcher's fault because he leaned in and it hit that way. I think that's the rules. And so then here's what happens. This is pretty good. He has to, once he hit it, he's responsible for getting to first base, and that guy can run and throw it to the guy watching first base, and as soon as that guy on their team hits the first base, there's no way he can touch it without being out, I think. Yeah, from home to first, he's out. As soon as their team has the ball in their hands and touches first base, he would be out. But in this particular instance, that guy's running towards the ball, and he might think that is mined. I have no idea how it affects their athleticism, but they probably try to not think about those negative things. But I don't know, because God does all things, and God may make them think, hey, that's going to happen, and then it doesn't for some reason, because God is in control and people don't know. So while he's running to try to get that ball that was like only went like not very far that way or whatever that is, he has to run really fast, and he tries to get to first. And once he touches, can you see where this first base thing is? I'm going to show you. Hi. So, he was on first, he did his, yo, dudes, and it hit the ball there, and then he like, and then he runs to first, and he makes it in time, like just in time for the pitcher to run there. He threw it to the guy watching first base, but he touched the base first. The guy who ran from there to touch the base first, so he's safe. And then the guy catches it and tries to put his foot down, but he can't make him out. He's already safe because he touched it. And then he can't walk off the base. If he walked off the base and that guy has the ball in his hand and touched and had his foot on the base, if this guy let his foot off and wasn't paying attention or something like that, he'd be out. If the other team was holding the ball and his foot was on the base like this, if the pitcher ran up there and threw it to him, he ran up there and threw it to him and did that or whatever, and then this guy who's watching first caught it and tried to put his foot down in the base, and if that guy didn't get there in time, he'd be out. And there's no way he could run back to home or something. He's out. So the object, the reason for playing baseball is that God gave us a sport, and God wants some people to play baseball. So what people do to win a baseball game is they have to be athletic. They have to know how to play baseball. They have to start playing it so they get used to playing it, and how to hit the ball, how to do this the right way, like something like that. And that kind of was a weird angle. And then there are 9 innings. Each inning, they have some chances. They have batters up waiting, and once that guy gets to a base by hitting the ball or being hit with it and walking to first, or the other thing that can happen is he could try to hit the oh no, and then the other thing that can happen is he could die of a heart attack, and God could send him right to hell. For all we know, we don't know. Or he could be like, yo, dude, it's a panic attack, guys. It's a panic attack. Hey, don't worry about it, man. He's got the surgery coming up, and professional ball players may have those kinds of things, so it's not that bad. So another thing that happened was the guy pitches the ball to him. It comes right here in the regular, and it might go like that when it's going so fast. It might look kind of weird when it might go. One time some kid, anyway, but so it might do that. It might come right towards his head, but he might go, yo, dudes, and then the pitcher would kind of be in trouble, I think. So, but if he pulled back and hit it with the bat, then it's his responsibility to get to first. But if he does this and he swings and hits it, and the ball hits it like at a funny angle, and it hits like kind of the top of it or side of it, and he goes, yo, dudes, and it goes, yo, dudes, and it goes like way back the wrong way somewhere. Like here's first. I mean, here's a home base. There's first, second, third, and home. Like that makes like a line to there and to there and to there and to home. So if he hits it, it's a foul. It's called a foul. And if it hits and goes like past where that line to there is, and if it goes from third to home, if he hits it and he goes, yo, so I don't know how it would go through that, but if he hits it and it goes like there, like past that line to third, or if it goes past that line to first, it's a foul. It's a foul. So, let me think of what a foul. Whoa. So if it's a foul, let me think of what happens. It was so long ago I played baseball in the 80s when I was a kid. It was fun. I really liked baseball and baseball cards. So he hits it and it's a foul. I can't think of what happens in that particular incidents right now. But for some reason, sometimes it can hit somebody waiting in the, the guys waiting here up to bat in the dugout. And another thing, let's move on to the next sport pretty quick. Baseball, or this is baseball, and the next one is maybe basketball and then football. So there are 9 innings, and the batters have 3 strikes before they have a chance, then they're out. But they have 1 strike or 2 strikes or no strikes at all. Like I have no strikes at all. And when you're up to bat, on a YouTube channel, I don't have a strike. It's a miracle. And I really get along with the YouTube people. And if he hits it really hard, wherever it goes to the outfield, hopefully the outfield guy, if it goes way up in the air, or if it goes right to the pitcher, if it goes to the outfield guy, and there's an outfield guy way in the outfield, then he can put his he can put his glove up before it makes a home run, or if it's closer to the infield where the bases are, and home, run, first, second, third, and the pitcher, that's the infield. And the outfield, if there's some guy way out here in the outfield and he has his glove on, and the guy up to bat hits the ball and he catches it in his mitt, it could be this high, or he could jump up and catch it or something, and he catches it in his mitt. If it goes in the air after he hits the ball into his mitt, then he's out. He doesn't have to get the 3 strikes. He's out. And that's what happens to how they get the players to be out. And then the umpire is somewhere around there. The umpire says this if they're out. He says, "Yeah, out." He says that. "Yeah, out." But sometimes they don't say that. And that's who, like, kind of like a referee for soccer or something, but it's for baseball, the umpire. And those are pretty much the games. And then they have a bat boy. This is the funniest, weirdest thing. They have a young boy, and he's the bat boy. And maybe my kids might want to do it. Maybe Ivan might want to do it for professional baseball. And they have a bat boy who, like, when the guy hits the, they might hit it down. That would be wrong and weird, but who knows what some guys do. And so that when they hit the ball and they're trying to make a home run or hit it pretty far or hit it low, and they throw the bat down and they run to first. And then the bat boy, he goes like this. He goes, and after the runner ran to there, and he's not in the way of anything. He, like, tries to stay behind where the home run goes to first and third. He tries to stay there, but he might run up to there, and then he goes like this. He runs up, and the bat is like, once the guy hits the ball, the bat, he goes, "Yo, dudes," and he throws it down and runs sometimes, and it might, like, go like this and skittle across the floor or something, and it goes and that's where the bat ends up landing. And then the guy ran there, and then the bat boy comes out from the dugout or wherever he was waiting, and he goes, "Hey," he goes, and then he does something with the bat. He might put it back here, or hand it to the next batter, or stuff like that. And so that's pretty good. And that's how to play baseball. And there are 9 innings. There are 9 innings. One inning is like that team in the dugout and up to bat, and how many runs they can bat in, or how many runs how many points, or the score that they make. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 might go up to 10 or something like that. I don't know, or 20 or something, and maybe more, and maybe 30, and who knows how many, maybe 40, and there's a possibility they can make 100 runs batted in, keep hitting home runs every time or something, for all we know, or hitting the ball and another person gets to first and second, and so they have a chance to make as many points or score as high as they can by trying to make home runs and hitting the ball to get to first, second, third, and then of course to home base. And they get 1 point when they make it to home base. So they try as much as they can, and if the pitcher strikes them out, or if they hit it up in the air, and somebody on the other guy's team, catches it with a ball when it goes up in there, then they're out. And when there are enough outs, then that's the end of 1 inning. So I don't know. And but that means this team. Okay, that means then they trade places, and the guys on this team, even if they're poor or rich, however they are, for God and Jesus. So the guys on this team, they say, okay, that's the end of the first inning. So then all the guys on this team walk out of there, and the guys who are all waiting in the dugout, all lined up in the dugout behind the thing, they all, like, walk out of there, they kind of have some, they all walk out of there, and they trade places, and one of them becomes the pitcher, one of them mans third base, one of them mans first base, one of them mans second base, one of them mans third base, and then the guys in the outfield, they walk out of the dugout and they go to there, and the people who are there go back to the dugout, and one at a time, they get up to bat, and they trade places, like that team there and that team there, and after one inning, they trade places, and that team goes to there, and the other team goes to there with one. And I don't know. That's the end of one inning. I don't know what that means, but two people might be married there for all we know. Maybe a husband and wife playing on the team. We don't know. And then that's it. And then after that first inning, then there's the second inning, third inning, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and 9 innings. And that's when they get to the end of the 9th inning, and when those batters are out enough, then that's the end of the ball game. That's the whole ball game. And that's how to play baseball. And there are other little technical rules and stuff you can learn, and that's really how to play baseball. And I showed you how to play baseball in this video if you'd like to watch it. So that's how to play baseball. Okay, and here's how to play basketball. Oh man. Okay, so here's how to play basketball. I gotta put some pants on because it feels a little awkward. Shorts. Okay. My son Ivan plays basketball. My son Ivan plays basketball, and this is pretty good. So, I don't know. But I know how to play basketball. So I should get some basketballs and a basketball I can barely think of what it's called. I used to play in a basketball team in the 5th grade, and I learned how to play basketball, how to dribble, and how to throw the basketball. And I don't know if I have a basketball here. So this is how to play basketball. So if I had a basketball, I could show you. Okay, there are like a bunch of players on one team. I can't remember how many. I'd have to really learn more about the rules and get really athletic. And I'm pretty physically capable of doing like some really good things. Like when I was a skateboarder, I could ollie or switch-footed ollie up like 6 steps, and then I could do like a nollie 360 flip down 6 steps and almost land it. Almost land it, because I didn't become professional, and I started getting hurt a little bit. I hurt myself one time accidentally. I didn't know how. I didn't know when I was a kid, and I had to stop skateboarding. I went to a bunch of school instead. But I may have become a professional skateboarder or in the skateboard industry, but God didn't want that for me. So I'm coordinated. I used to call it. But I don't know if that's appropriate today. I was coordinated. So maybe if I got super athletic, maybe there's some professional athletes who could start their career older than me or at my age. But it's not really appropriate in my life to be some kind of super athlete. But I could also I was almost as good as the professional snowboarders in the Olympics with my friend Stefan, whose dad was a builder of almost all the houses at one of the snow resorts. It's pretty sad. I hope to God I'm still friends with him. I don't know. But his dad built, like, as his job, he was a home builder. He built most of the houses at one of the big snow resorts in Virginia. And we live in Roanoke, Virginia. He lived across the street from me when we moved to a new house. So I liked snowboarding somehow because I saw it in some cool movie. It was some cool movie, and he snowboarded, and I was like, wow, it's a new thing, and I was like, that's cool. So we got snowboards, and I was a little after snowboards had been around. I started snowboarding a little after they had been around because I had like an old style with a pointy nose to the snowboard, and then a tail on the snowboard that was like more like Colorado, kind of like what they call kind of like off the snowboard resort, kind of snowboarding on some mountain somewhere with so much snow that it was like this thick to the ground. So and it was kind of compacted, so they could like go down a huge mountain that no one had well, I don't know, maybe some of them went down ones that no one had ever snowboarded, but there's so much snow they couldn't really get hurt unless they hit a tree or something, so it's pretty scary. But that's not really something that has happened around here with that much snow, and they've only had like this much snow or something, this much snow, and I was afraid that if I fell, you hit the hard ground. So it was a little scary, like snowboarding out here, but I'm thankful for my health. But at the snowboard resort, me and Stefan, my friend, they'd have huge moguls, and I'd like to do it again. I don't know if it would get that many views or go huge or what, but we would fly up in that. We would do huge airs, and he would do 540s, and I'd do 360s, and he'd also do 360s, and he was probably a little better than me. He was probably a little better than me because his dad was the, they skied growing up, and then he snowboarded, and then he brought me along, and I learned how to snowboard. It was, I don't know, it didn't really take anything, but one time I fell and got hurt, and then I felt any pain from that for like, since the 2000s or something, but it used to hurt, and then it went away. It's a miracle. And, excuse me, and so we snowboarded with sponsored snowboarders about as good as them. It was a miracle, and he won the whole contest at the snowboard resort, and I didn't make it into the contest, and it was terrible, and I was really good, but for some reason, every time I kept trying to 360 on the big mogul, there was ice that day. And ice is like dangerous, so it was like solid ice when you land, and every time I'd land, it would slide up from under me, and I kept hurting myself in the same place, and I couldn't land it. And for some reason, he went really big at the thing. He was the star of the whole show and won the whole snowboard competition, and I had to like walk around outside of the whole thing. And then some girl that he was friends with was like, hey, come on, and she was like a little bit nerdy, and and she was like, come on, want a kiss or something? And I said, no. And I said I didn't want to because I felt like a loser, and I felt like, why would losers do of the thing? And I was like, forget it. And I didn't kiss her or anything like that. But we talked, and then I just was like, we didn't make it in the snowboard competition that time. But before then, I was really good. But before then, I was really good. And I noticed in the Olympics, I can do some of the same things they did. But some of the things they do now are like, they spin around and do like a 1080 or something like. They keep spinning around because they're in the air for so long, and I didn't quite learn that, but back in the 90s, well, I learned 360s, so I can try to do that maybe when I start snowboarding again. So I might be able to do that if I'm athletic enough. And the way that you snowboard is like I taught my kids: you lift up your feet, and you're going down that way. You lift up your feet and go, shh, and then you kind of slowly bring it back to flat going that way, and then you slowly bring it back to doing that. And then you do 540s or 360s or 180s. You just jump up and do it. It's that easy, and try to not fall when you land. You just jump up and do a 360 in the air. It's attached to your feet, so it's not really that hard. It's like just doing this in a 360 and try to land and keep going down the mountain. It's not really that hard, but you kind of have to go off of a jump so you have enough time to do it. So we did that, but it was a miracle. I did this huge jump that was like pretty big, and I'd like to do it again for fun. So hopefully I asked my friend Stephen to go, or Krista, my sister. And snowboarding is like skateboarding, but with skateboarding, it's like it takes I don't know what, but it's harder to do, because to ollie and do all that stuff, it's like, it's not like you just jump up in the air. It's not like it's attached to your feet and you just go like this and keep going down the hill, because it's fun. It's really fun snowboarding. But on a skateboard, it's like you really have to take your time and learn. It may be for some it doesn't take their time, but it may be years or a week, or I don't know, or no time at all. You might just jump on a skateboard. Some people are kind of crazy. They have a natural ability, like there might be a skateboard there they've never done before, and it's almost like it's almost like if you see like a dog or something, like some dog doing something crazy, you might just like run up to it and go and just like do some crazy thing like and so it's kind of like that. Like they know it has wheels on it, can roll, so they try to do something crazy. They go and they don't know, and they've never skateboarded before, and they might do something really good, like fly down the steps or something, and see if they can land on some weird thing when they never skateboarded. And hopefully they don't get hurt if they're an athlete or something. But if they're old, they don't want to get hurt, or if they're, you know, if they're not too good at sports or something, or if there's something about it they don't like it or something like that, then don't try anything dangerous or scary. But God might make them really good. They might like go down like 6 steps and land it or something their first try without it on the first day they skateboarded. And so that's kind of how to skateboard. And you know, this is the basic thing that everything's based on skateboarding. You push off like this, have one foot on it somewhere, either in the back or the front of it, either that way or this way, and you push off with one foot. And, oh, let me show where it is. Hi, and I'll show you how to play basketball too. Okay, here's our skateboard. You put one foot on the front or back, however you feel most comfortable, or this foot on the front or back, however you feel most comfortable. Walk up to it and put one foot on it where it feels the most comfortable to skateboard. Here's how I did. I put it here, and then you push off with the other foot like this. And once it starts rolling, you put the other foot on it and try to roll. And it keeps rolling. Something like this. And it rolls the skateboard. I don't know. And some people put their foot in the back of it, like my son. I think Rowan does, yeah. And he goes like this. Puts his foot in the front, it's so weird. But I can do that too, but this is a rug. And that's how you roll on a skateboard. And then the second thing to learn on a skateboard is, once you're rolling, you put, oh, I cut my head off. You put your, once you're rolling on the skateboard, you put one foot that's the furthest back, you put it on the tail, and sometimes you can use your toe to balance, and then sometimes you just put it flat here. If, you know, try to, if you're rolling down the street, be careful, and make sure you're allowed to do it at a skateboard park, and you know, you put your foot in the tail, and without doing an ollie, do this. This is the second thing to learn once you learn how to push off like this. It's pushing off. It's pushing off, and then you can roll backwards. I don't know. Once you get used to that, here's how you turn. You put one foot in the back of it, and see how this is like a balancing thing? It balances. When you lift up the tail like that, when you're rolling, try to turn it to that way. Try to turn it to that way, or left, right, or left. When you're rolling down, you go, hey. And you can go like this. Like leaning on the tail like that, but barely enough so you're balancing, so you can go like this. But if it hits this, you can try to do it on a rug or in the grass so you don't fall down at first. And try to do it somewhere safe, like a driveway. Like a driveway, if it's normal, where you're allowed to skateboard, wherever you're allowed to skateboard. And it comes as like second nature. Put your foot back here on the tail, and when you lean back, that's one way. And here's maybe the third thing you can learn, but it wears out the skateboard in the back. But they used to do it sometimes, and they had a pad to put back here that was like plastic that was screwed into it in the old days. And here's what you do: you're rolling. If you want to stop, do this. Here's a cool trick that you can do. Where you learn how to roll on a skateboard. Then and wear pads if you want, knee pads and elbow pads and a helmet, so you don't get hurt. And they may have all kinds of new protective clothing and gear, like hip pads. They may have a full body kind of protective thing, and including ankle support that goes up high enough so you don't sprain your ankles and you don't hurt anything on your body, with a helmet and something maybe, who knows, to cover your face maybe. And then you could try to do something crazy like jump, well, you know, a little crazier. That would have been crazy if you didn't have the suit, but with the special suit, then you could do stunts. Like somebody whose body was hurt and old, they could have all kinds of padding around the whole body and some big metal thing all around it. And then they could get on a bike or a motorcycle and like, yo, and fly, you know, like, or something like that. And like a skateboard, like my friend Chris Hofer, he's unable to do huge jumps because his body got hurt. He used to be a really good, almost professional motocrosser and biker. And I filmed a video on, if you want to look him up, Chris Hofer bike. And and I filmed a really good video and edited it like all summer for him. I made a really good video for him while he was able and going down huge steps, like 60 steps on a huge bike or something, and a mountain bike. And he got hurt one time, and now he doesn't do the huge stuff anymore. So I was thinking maybe they can come up with a suit that's like really well padded in the whole body, and then like metal all around it, like a big round thing of metal that covers up his body with a helmet and everything. Then he could be like Evel Knievel on a motorcycle, on a small motorcycle. Yo, like really high in the air or something. And when he lands, he can he can go like this. He can land like this with a big suit on of armor with a padding under it. It looks like a robot that's smooth or whatever, of silver, and it's really strong, so you can't really get hurt. And it has a helmet on. And then when he lands like this. He flies in the air, yo, Evel Knievel. And if he falls, he won't get hurt. You can design some kind of a suit so he can still do it, you know. And then he falls like this, head first, like this, and slides all the way that way, like this, yo, or something like that. So that's what they might come up with for skateboarding and stuff. So then people can do like really good sports or something, and you know, that are extreme sports. But here's how, on a skateboard, once you're rolling, here's how to stop. Here's the stuff. If you're rolling, try not to go too fast. Usually, you jump off and run, and try to slow down the run, or just jump off it. If it's rolling this way, like once you learn how to push off in the skateboard, you go like this. Yay! Here's how you stop. Just walk off of the skateboard. But here's the scary thing. It's not that great. This is why you have a helmet or pads. Try to like balance so that you don't get hurt. But somebody could hold your hands like I taught Rowan and Ivan, my kids, when they were little, and help you to skateboard, like Danica. You know, Danica would be the only one to do that. Because I'm not, unless it was like my kids. Because I'm not a creepy weirdo to teach some other woman. And so, once you're skateboarding, here's a cool thing you can do to stop. It's like a trick they did in the 80s, like Back to the Future, like Michael J. Fox did, or something like that. Yeah. And here's something you can do. When you're rolling on the skateboard, you might be going down a hill or something, and here's how you stop. You lean back all the way in the tail with your foot on the tail, and you go like this. And it goes until you stop. And it's kind of cool. And once you get used to rolling on a skateboard and putting your foot in the tail and going like this, or here's the other thing, it's really important you have to learn, that's when you lean that way, when you lean down on that way, or down, back and down on this way, when you lean that way, it makes the skateboard go like that. And if you do it a little bit, it makes the skateboard go kind of like that. And if you lean back this way, if you lean down that way, it makes the skateboard go to the left. And if you kind of even it out and do that, it makes it go right or left. Like those cones when in the 70s when they did that. So I don't know. And I'm about to have a heart attack. So not literally, but I'm super healthy and my heart's really healthy. But so that's how to skateboard. And the cool trick you can do is this: if you're rolling, you can try to lean back. Good old lean back. This is how it's used for transportation, and it slides like Back to the Future or whatever. So, and then the other only trick is the ollie, a trick, right? Trick of the devil. Well, hey, all the human language God gave us, there's something good about it, and there's there for a reason. It doesn't always, you can't damn someone to hell for skateboarding. Okay, so here's how to ollie. You put your foot a little bit back on here, and then you put your foot on the tail, and then you like pop this up or whatever. And when this is popped up by putting all your weight in the back, then you slide up this foot, and it lifts up the board, and you try to practice it again and again until you learn how to do this. And it ollies up. And that's ollie. All the tricks are based on that. The other one's a kick flip. And you put your foot in the back, and you do this, and you try to make it do a kick flip. This is the other one. So let's go to basketball quick, because this is not for my selfish reason, but I like my kids to learn how to skateboard. Hopefully I don't sprain my ankle because I don't have my ankle braces on. But you go like this, and you land it. I don't have my ankle braces on, so I'm not going to do it with these shoes. And that's a kick flip. So that's how to skateboard. All tricks are based on it pretty much. And mini ramp, you have to get used to how a mini ramp is. You go and do tricks on a mini ramp and other kinds of street skateboarding and things. Like different kinds of ramps, a rail slide, things like that. And it's based on an ollie to it a little bit to the side and slide on it and try to land on it. And once you get good at skateboarding, that's pretty much the skateboarding, how to skateboard. Okay, so I taught you how to play baseball. I taught you really how to play baseball in this video. I showed you the rules of playing baseball. You can go out there and play baseball pretty much. You know, there's some other things you might want to learn if you want to do it professionally. But on our team, up to about high school, I pretty much showed you all the rules to it.
and you can learn a little bit more to actually play on a team in high school from what I taught you in this video. And as a kid, just playing, up to junior high or something like that, and they can teach you the rest once you start practicing. So I showed you how to play baseball in this video, and I showed you how to skateboard in this video, and I gotta wipe my nose. And I also showed you how to snowboard, the basics of snowboarding. That's pretty good, right? And I'm going to show you how to play basketball. It might be a fast one. I played basketball in the 5th grade, and my son Ivan plays basketball, and he played on a football team, and this is how to play football, but I'll teach you how to play basketball. So I don't know which one you like to learn first. And here's how to play football. I played football in the 5th grade and scored a touchdown. This cool guy, Tim, somebody, I don't want to say his name, Tim Long, maybe he's out there somewhere. He was the star of the whole football thing. He was like tall and in really good shape, and he kept scoring one touchdown after another. And he liked me. And I was in the 5th grade, and we were playing football, and he said, "Come on!" And he threw the ball to me, and it was a miracle. And I was like a regular kid, and I wasn't in particular really athletic. I was maybe kind of athletic, but not really. I was had a little bit fat, and he like, with his football ways, he like, it was tag team football, so it's a little different from football, but it was the things that they have, like if you tag them and they're out or something, instead of tackling, because they didn't want the kids to get hurt. So he said, run, and so I was running, and here's this taller, more athletic kid. But back then I was one of the I wasn't really that tall, but it didn't make me feel bad. I was just a grade ahead, and like I got some really high IQ or something like that, and I got to skip a grade, and then I had to be smaller than people, and it was okay. I got to graduate early at 17 or something like that, and my mom and dad graduated high school at 16, and so the kid, the athletic, super athletic kid, he was one of the cool tall ones. He was good looking. Everybody liked him. Whatever. I didn't understand what that was back then. I was good looking. I didn't know. I didn't think about those things back then. I was a kid in the 5th grade, and he kind of held them all. He held off the other team, and he said, he like washed them all and stood in the way and stuff. And he said, "Run!" And then so I kept running, and I maybe ran the whole little football field in elementary school, and I scored a touchdown. It was a miracle, and I learned how to play football. So when you think about the rules of football, okay, there's a big football field, a huge football field. I don't recall how many yards. Is it 100 yards? I don't recall. And in the middle of the football field, they have one team line up on this side, another team line up on this side. The quarterback gets back here. One of these guys lined up. There's a line in the middle of the football field. Here's all the players are here. Here's all the players are here. They're facing one another. The quarterback gets behind the guy and somewhere, and one of the guys in the line has a football in his hand, and he has to like throw it behind him. I think under his legs. Yeah. I think he throws it behind. I think he throws it behind him. I don't know. And then the quarterback catches it and tries to run as those guys try to tackle or physically stop the other players. So they kind of help the quarterback. It's a miracle. They help the quarterback to like try to run and score a touchdown at the other end of the football field, and he can throw it to, well, depending on if they're ahead of him or not, I think it may be off sides if he throws it back that way or something. And so he has to like try to throw it ahead or directly to the side of him, I think, or ahead of him, and he throws it to the other players, and then they can catch it and they can throw it back, and they try to get to the other side and get to the to score a touchdown past the very end of the football field into the place where if their foot steps in it while they're holding the football, that's considered a touchdown. Or if their body touches it, like if they're so athletic, they were huge when I saw them a long time ago. Somehow it got kind of big, and if they jump, say like the line of the football, somebody commented on there. I'm going to see what they said. Say like the line of the football field's there, and they're running with the football field. They're running with the football. The quarterback or whoever he threw it to, or in some other way, some guy got the ball in his hands on this team. You know, it could be a fumble, and the other team could run and pick it up, and they could get in hands and try to get it to the other side. And for some reason, the guy has it in his hands now. He could drop it, and the other team could get it, I think, but that may be wrong. And so, so this guy has it in his hands, and he's trying to get to that line, but there's a guy like trying to tackle him, and for some reason he has to jump up in the air, and if his body, I'm not going to do it in the hard cement, but if his body touches like the place where he can get a touchdown, if he's holding it and holding the football and his body touches it there, then I think his body can hit right there with his feet up in the air, and that's considered a touchdown, I think. Yeah, that's considered a touchdown. So once he can do that and get to here with the body touching it, holding the football without it falling out of his hands or something, I think there might be a few second rule or something like that. I don't know if it's called, if it's like, if he has it in his possession, the football he doesn't own. And so, but I have a football downstairs I can show you with that. And my son's football, I got him. So then, that's how to score a touchdown. And then, sometimes, I think if it goes out of bounds or something, they have to, I don't recall, they have to do they have to try to kick a field goal. This is the basic idea of it, but I'm not really going into detail on how to do it because I have to learn more about football to be good at it. But I can throw it almost like a professional, and still to this day, my arm's strong enough where I'm really good at throwing the football. It's a miracle that at this age, 48, I can throw a football like really good. And my son maybe can throw. I think can throw it better. And I can kick a football really good. So I can throw and kick a football really good. But I was a little scared. The only thing that stopped me from trying to do it at like a big like professional level or something that I decided long ago I wasn't going to do it is I thought that if I caught the ball and they all piled on top of me, I thought they'd like break my arms and legs or something if I was at the wrong angle or something, and go, yeah, dude. And I was so afraid of that in particular. Like I didn't want them to all land on me and get hurt. So I thought, that's something I probably can't do because I was so afraid that they'd hurt my body when they all jumped on me, how big they were. Because I saw the professional players, and back then I was small. And but the cool thing about football is if they're strong enough when they lift weights, some of them are fat too, and they're like, yeah, like really big. And when they like run at somebody, whoever it is would fall down. And so like if they hit them, so like that's kind of good about football. People who are heavy. So for some reason, I was too scared I'd get hurt if a bunch of them fell on me. Like I saw it one time when I was watching a football game, and I thought I was too scared to do it. So I didn't play professional football, and I didn't even try to. It was like way earlier than I would have thought. Like maybe in seventh grade or something. Seventh grade or sixth grade. Yeah, yeah. And then so pretty much that's it. But then sometimes somebody has to kick a field goal or try to kick a field goal. So they put the little kind of like T square. They put the little I don't know. They put the thing to the ground and they put the football like at an angle. Or they put their football there, and then they put the football there. And it's like sitting there by it's like sat there, or it's like put there by itself, and then he has to run up, and here's how to kick it. Okay, and this is how to play football. I didn't go into the details of the football rules, because look, man, I don't, just get out there and ball flick them quick. I don't know how the coaches do, but you have to really know how to play, how the rules are, and I only know the basics of it. So if you're athletic enough, you could learn and maybe become a pro, even older in age. If you become a super athlete and you're really coordinated and good at that kind of stuff, maybe some super athlete could do it at age 50 something and become an NFL superstar before ever doing it professionally or something. Maybe you become that good later in age with how athletic people are becoming later in age when they work out with weights and stuff like that, and become like really, because of the strength training. Because in the Bible, God told us that physical training is good. So it helps the body. There's godliness in it. But more than that is, it's good. Physical training is good, but godliness itself is way more than the small amount of godliness and whatever good is, unless it's really godliness in the physical training. That's good to do physical training. Physical training is good, but godliness helps you in this life and the next life to come. So godliness helps you more than physical training. It helps you in this life with your health, and in the next life to come that's forever. The next life is really, really forever. The next life is really, really forever. The next life is really forever. It's not a billion. It's not only it's not $1 billion. It's not only 1 billion years. It's forever. The next life is forever. And this life is not too long, but for some kids and some people, it may feel like it's a really long life. It's really good and fun. So this life can be really good and fun too. So, try not to give up on God ever, because when you're godly and good, meaning Jesus-like, how God wants us to be like Jesus to get to Him, then that helps you in this life and the next life to come. Godliness, it's a miracle, and the sin is what hurts everyone. Some people die, or I don't know, and so the way people look or whatever is not really that important. But for some reason, it makes people feel good to look okay or something. But that may have nothing to do with someone's physical health. Because look at some old people who just do this, like sitting down in a chair, and they kind of move their arms a little bit, and then they live to like 100 something. So physical training is good, but godliness helps you both in this life, more in this life, and then in the next life that's forever. It's really forever with no sin, and it's really, really good the next life. But this life, don't give up on this life. This can be fun too. So here's how you keep the football. Yeah, my face melted off for saying it. Okay, how great. Okay, so it didn't really melt off. I don't know why I said that. How sad. I had sinned before when I was younger, back in 2015. I feel so bad about what I did. So that's what causes suffering and bad things, the sin. It's really bad, and you have to feel sorry for what you did. And so when they have a football field goal that's like, it looks like this. Well, here's what it looks like. It has like the bottom of a rectangle shape, and it has, in the middle of it, and it's metal. And in the middle of it, it's metal, and it's huge at one end of the football field. And I think the other end of the football field. So sometimes they have to kick a field goal. So they put the ball down on the ground. Somebody puts it down there or whatever, and And here's how they kick it. They run up, but say like the football is like there. And they run up and they do this. And they hit it and they like kick it with a flat part of their foot. It like goes, woo! It smacks into their foot. Like the whole football smacks into this part of their foot, like really hard. And they like kick it as hard. They try to, they go, but they like kick it as hard as they can at that angle pretty much. But they like run up and kick it. They go, and they like kick it as cool. It's like, dude, coach. And then they like, I don't know. And they kick the football and they try to make it go into the field goal. I don't know why. And then they add points to the football game. And then that's pretty much it. That's how to play football. But you have to learn a little bit more about it if you do it. And here's how to throw it. They hold it in their hand. Once he throws it behind him to the quarterback catches it and he holds it close to his body. And then he tries to like run up and get to the other place, to the other side of the football field to score a touchdown holding the ball. And here's how they throw it to another team member who may be like way up the field. They go like this. They hold it with both hands and they go. They like that's the kind of way to throw it. They like go like this and they throw it, but when they throw it, here's the football. They turn their hand a little bit and it makes the football spin like a spiral and it goes further and that's how you like throw it. And there's kind of a grip, and some people, I don't know how they put their hands on the whatever, but you can put their hands on the laces on the football or something like that. Or if you had to, you could throw it. Yeah, that way is like a weird way to throw it, but you could pass it to somebody close if you did that. And if you want to throw it really far, you try to like do this, like really far. But I've barely hung on to that. Sometimes I've been in super good shape where it didn't hurt me. I could throw it as far as when I was a teenager. And other times, even when I was in my 20s, sometimes like, oh man, and I couldn't throw it that far. And then I got stronger again. The strength training, the physical training in the Bible, God showed us that physical training is good. And you can strengthen things with physical training that, I don't know. Look at those long arms, man. What did Trump do this to you? He did a handshake like this. Hey, Mr. Trump. Yo. That's how I look now, man. Yo, dude. Trump just shook my hands. I don't know. Donald Trump shook my hands. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Yeah, hey. I said, no. But, so that's this funny sweatshirt I'm wearing. And I used to, when I was younger, it looked like my hands were that way. For some reason, when I got clothes, they only came down to here or something. It felt like I had long hands or something. And like, it looks like I'm fat. Hey, and I was kind of chubby when I was a kid. But then I got in really good shape, and I thought people still thought I was fat. So I was afraid to take my shirt off in public. But I was like athletic, and I didn't even know. And then I don't know. But my parents weren't like really wealthy back then. But I don't know why I sound maybe like that way a little bit now. And so that's how to play football. And here's how to play basketball, man, with these long hands that Trump pulled down. Yo, Trump did this. He like, here's how Trump shakes a hand, by the way. He goes up to him, and here's how a businessman shakes his hand, he goes, yeah, and pulls it down really, really long. And after that, they look like this. Hey, man, I got long hands. I know. And then, so, all he's got to do was walk up to one of the biggest military leaders of some country, and he sees him, and there's something that he did, and like it went in secret. In secret, that leader of the country said, "I hate him. I wish they would cut his head off. I hate him. I don't like him. I spit on his grave," or something like that. And then like Trump does this, yo, to him, and then like that's what his hands. This is what he did to me now. Look, I used to have small hands. I learned how to kind of do that with physical training. Godliness, with God, you can do anything. So physical training is good. So I used to have a worry about my hands being long because my clothes were like small and came up to here. And then I got clothes that fit better, that were looser, and then somehow it looked like my hands were small. And it didn't affect my guitar playing, but now I guess I was mean to Trump, and this is what he did to me. I don't know. No, so I'll try to pull my sleeves up. This is a really small clothing I got on Instagram that was supposed to have abs on it. This is supposed to have real abs and look like really cool. It's supposed to have like padding in it that looked like real abs with real padding with muscles, and I thought you just wear it and it would look really, really cool or something good. But instead, it looks like it has the design of abs, and this is supposed to look like really strong muscles here, like with a little bit of padding, and padding here, like it's strong, like you just put them on kind of whatever shape you're in, it just looks like you're really cool. And I think they might come up with clothes like that pretty soon. And they showed it all in the pictures, and I bought the clothes. It was like $200 something for some of them, and this is how they really look. like it was on Instagram. Have you seen them? And but these clothes fit in well enough that like if I pull this up on my arms, it doesn't look like I have long arms pulled down by Trump or whatever. Okay, now it still looks like long arms. I don't know why. It's pretty terrible. I don't know why. But I can change my clothes wherever. This is the only one I noticed it in. And yeah. But so here's how I play basketball, y'all. And I almost fell down. Okay, here's how I play basketball. It's kind of like football, how on a basketball court they have a line in the middle of it, and well, they have two players facing off, one of them with a ball, or they put the ball in the middle, and one of them has to grab the ball, and once that team gets it, they dribble the ball, they bounce it as they walk, and they have to do it. They can run with it and bounce it, and if they have the rules about running with a basketball are that you can't double dribble. Like double dribbling is like you bounce it one time and they might like walk with it or something and then dribble again. I think that's double dribbling. That's double dribbling. They're not allowed to do that. So they can bounce it and they keep one foot in the ground and they can hold it and do this with one foot in the ground, and it's not double dribbling, and they can bounce it again when they want to walk with it or run with it or whatever they're supposed to do. I don't know. I know, but I don't know. And then that team can pass it to one another as they try to get to that side of the basketball court, and they can make, if they're really tall, they could do a slam dunk or something, or they try to throw the basketball into the basketball goal. Is that what it's called? It was so long ago I couldn't even remember. It's called a basketball goal. And I used to try to like do a slam dunk, but I could touch the rim, but I couldn't slam dunk. But if I get athletic enough, I got way more athletic than that as I got older. Like in my late 20s, I was in super good shape, and when I was 40, I think I was more athletic than I had ever been in my life. It was 8 years ago when I was 40, and so I was more athletic than I'd ever been in my life when I was 40. I used to be able to run up and down the mountain, and I'd come in here and lift the 100-pound dumbbells, and then run up there, and I'd do leg lunges and stuff, and then carefully, after you do huge weights, you want to like kind of slowly work into something that would be fast running or sprinting. You have to study how to work out so you don't get hurt on it. You know, like don't get hurt at it. You have to watch videos and see how they really do it, and do things how other people do it in a way that you wouldn't get hurt. I don't know. And you might just walk, or sit, or not walk, or maybe I don't walk. I don't know. Or you could run, or who knows what. And God knows. So some people don't work out, and they have godliness. They have godliness, and with godliness, it's healthier than physical training. But if you're with godliness, it's healthier than any kind of physical training. Godliness, which that means loving God the most, forgiving others, not being led into temptation, being kind to others, forgiving others, not being angry, not having fits of anger. That's one that I noticed that I shouldn't break things or something. About one time God told me I had to destroy a painting right then because there's so much bad temptation and I had to destroy it. And it was something I had to intentionally do. It wasn't out of any fit of anger. And other times I thought I threw something down and didn't think it would break and it broke. It was really weird. But that's a kind of problem that I had with sin. And you try to not sin, and there are sins, and this is how to be godliness, like Jesus. You have to feel sorry for anything that you did wrong and say, I'm sorry I did it. I didn't mean to God. And you have to forgive others if they try to hurt you or are mean to you. Say, oh, they didn't mean to, or think it's not their fault, the devil tricked them, or don't try to be mean back to them. Because forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. But don't do it for yourself. If you do it for yourself so God forgives you, it's selfish. And the devil is selfish. And all those kinds of people can see are selfishness, sin, earthly values like money, good looks. Well, good looks God gives to people sometimes. And God gave me good looks, but I don't know how I look in this video. And God sometimes gives people earthly things. So when you live for God, you'll always have plenty. When you live for Jesus and God, when you live for Jesus and God, when you live for God, you'll always have plenty. When you live for Jesus, you'll always have plenty. Because the only way to God is with Jesus. If you don't have Jesus, you wouldn't be kind to others. Jesus is about kindness to others, forgiving others if they were mean to you or trespassed against you, if they sinned against you. Trespass is sin. And some people go to war, or they have to hurt bad guys who would have killed other people or something, or they have to, but don't hurt anyone. The way to Jesus is by forgiving others. The way to Jesus is being kind to others. The way to God is with Jesus' way of kindness to others. And God knows way more than Jesus. God created everything. More than that, He created everyone. He created you. God created you. Jesus didn't create anyone unless He was somehow being God. Because sometimes Jesus is God, but Jesus isn't always God. Sometimes Jesus is Jesus. And God may be 800 billion times as good as Jesus. And Jesus is way better than us. Because Jesus was without sin. He didn't sin. And He never hurt anyone on earth. He never hurt anyone on earth. It's not mentioned anywhere in the Bible that Jesus ever hurt anyone. So the way to be is to not hurt others. And the way we're judged is on how Jesus-like we are. We'll be judged on Judgment Day by Jesus Himself, unless you're so good that you don't have to be judged. You make it right up to heaven. And for some people, they're not even judged and they're sent right to hell. So that's the scariest one. So when you're like really barely able to go on sometimes, don't get angry at God. He's putting you through something to see if you'll still be godly and good. Like, you know, an extreme example is what he did to Job. He took everything away from him, made him homeless, put sores on his body, killed all his children. He had the worst life ever, and he still didn't blaspheme God. He still wasn't angry at God, and it tested his righteousness. But don't wrongfully blame that on anyone who doesn't deserve it. I've already been suffering, 30% of the time, 40% of the time, 30% of the past since 2015. I've been suffering, or since 2015, about 30% of the time, or my suffering went away the past month or two, and I lost like 30 pounds, and I still look a little kind of, I don't know, I feel like I look kind of not low enough body fat, but I'm happy with how I am now. Be thankful for how you are now, because at any time God could take any of us to heaven. So be ready for God at any time. Judgment day could happen at any time, or you could go right up to heaven at any time. We don't know, but unless God told us we're supposed to live forever until judgment day and then forever in heaven. That's what he told me. And then I started telling people, and it was like I was like attacked by them trying to say my life would be tragic. With like I kept getting thoughts of it again and again the past like week or two, past few days, and I gave up and said I didn't know if God told me I'd get to live until judgment day and forever. If God was putting me through a test, but I know I'll get to live until judgment day and then forever. But I said, okay, if he changes his mind and it's tragic and I die, who cares? That's great. I couldn't go through it anymore. I was ready to go right up to heaven. So it would have been at peace to not have to go through it anymore. But I'm not going to hurt myself. I wouldn't try to kill myself. And I wouldn't try to kill myself. So that's good. And hi. So I'm going to check those comments. I'm so cool and mean now, right? Yo. And then, so here's what I'm going to do. Anyway, about that football game, boys, hold on a second right here. Hey, buddy, I'm the coach, right? Turned out and do it. Okay, so, and then, yeah, I'm comfortable here in my house as soon as I go out there. I might do that. I might have to do that around somebody for God. I don't know. I'm God's servant. And I'm God's servant. Look, man, let me tell you something about that, Chuck. And so, I don't know. I am God's servant. So he might give me $800 billion, or he might throw me to the curb and be in a wheelchair, crippled man, homeless. But trust in God, and you'll always be okay. You won't always be okay because of the sin on earth. You sometimes might not be okay at all. And you'll always have plenty. You'll always have plenty with Jesus. You'll always have plenty. So don't worry about setting an earthly goal unless God wants you to set an earthly goal, because it's like choosing, it's almost like choosing a selfish ambition, or maybe choosing a selfish ambition. And with selfish ambition, God told us with people who are prophets, or somehow in the Bible, he told us with selfish ambition, there is disorder, there's disorder in all evil things with selfish ambition. So think about if your goals and plans in life are selfish or not. Because if whenever there is selfish ambition, there is disorder and all evil things. So if somebody feels really good and happy and they're so kind and godly and good, and they say, hey, I'm going to make $800 million or $800 billion or $2 million or $400,000 or $200,000 or $800,000 or $400,000, or $2 million, and they say, I'm gonna make $2 million. This is awesome! Yay! I'm happy. Everybody. And they say something like that, or they might say they love everything. You know, you're not supposed to love a thing because it doesn't have a soul. So love others, unless the only exception to that I can think of is that God is love. God may sometimes be an it. He's the only one. So you always have to love God because God is love, and love may be an it, even though it's Him. God, who created love, He is love. And that's the way that we feel okay. And without Him, it's so dark and empty, and it'd be in the outer darkness or hell, and you'd feel so sad without His love that eventually those people feel sorry for what they did, and they learn how to be down in hell. And they too will be changed after they die the second death. They miss God so much, and they feel sorry for what they did. They repent or whatever. And after forever, supposedly time will end in hell, and then there won't be any time anymore because there'll be no more age. The people won't age anymore because the sin is what causes people to age. So maybe there will be no more time in heaven. So I think that's one of the mysteries in the Bible, because God said we will all be changed. We will all be changed. We'll all make it to heaven. Even the people end up in hell, but that's forever. That could be 1 billion years until they figure out how to be down there. The devil tries to trick them into more and more sin, so they stay and they can't get out. It's really bad. He might beat their bodies and do horrors worse than any horror movie, and then he offers them a sexual temptation, the worst kind of horrific things ever, as a way to find some kind of relief from the beatings of horrors, unimaginable things that they do to them. Almost no rest ever again in hell, and that's what hell is. So it's terrible to tell a child, if any child is watching this, but God is there for you and never wants you to go to hell. All children are raised by God, and they're the most innocent, kind ones without sin more than almost anyone. In general, I don't know. You can't judge them, because even those big military leaders or people who went to war and shot at people, they shot at bad guys, and sometimes there's no sin in that at all, because that guy, the person who they shot, sometimes is bad, but that's wrong to kind of judge if someone should die or not. For me, it's not for me. It's not for me. So hopefully I don't have to fight anybody if they broke in my house trying to hurt loved ones or anything like that. Try not to ever hurt anyone, because Jesus is the way. But many of those people fought in wars. God acknowledges that people had to fight in wars in the Old Testament, and you can't judge them because they fought in a war, or they tried to shoot a bad guy or something for their job or whatever they do. You have to judge people on how Jesus like they are. That may be something God allowed them to do on earth that there may be no turning back from if they hurt anyone. So they have to be good at their job. Some are good at it, and it doesn't worry them. And God knows where they'll go right up to heaven. I think some of them, but I don't ever hurt anyone. I never hurt anyone unless God wants me to defend my family or who knows what. Because He said there's a time to kill, but don't be a crazy ass. Never kill anyone unless it's their job for police or the army, because you don't want to end up in prison forever, allowing God to control your body. Because if you killed somebody, even if it was somebody, it's always bad. So the only way you'll be judged is on how Jesus like you are. That's the way to hell. That's murder usually, and they end up in hell. Don't ever hurt anyone, unless some guy who's a policeman or in the military has to do it for their job. It's the only reason I can think of. Or if they're trying to kill your loved ones and you had to not let them hurt your children or something, so pretty much never hurt them. Let them, if they hurt your body, here's what Jesus said: if they hurt your body, don't worry. Don't worry. There's supposed to be no worry about it at all. Be like Jesus. Even if they broke your arm, don't try to fight them or hurt them back. Forgive them. That's the way of Jesus. And it's one of the hardest things to do if they really were that mean to you. But that's the way. That's the way. So for years here, I put up with all kinds of abuse, almost from every angle, and it caused me to gain some weight. And I forgave all of them. And it was a sin I had done when I was younger. I was like, I was pretty mean because I was suffering anyway from the sin. I didn't know why. It was because as a kid, I liked girls, and it's just for some reason I was led into temptation liking girls, but in real life I didn't have the confidence to even get to kiss any of them or anything. God kept me away from being able to do that. So I suffered, tempted, but unable to fulfill love. And my parents became more distant from me starting at age 12. And they still loved me, but they wouldn't hug me like a little kid and be close to me anymore once I started thinking about girls. And I don't know. And so that caused a problem when I was 12 of liking girls and think about them almost every day, and I'd see them and I wanted to kiss them or something, but God wouldn't let me have the confidence to ever get to do it. And for some reason, God can only bring a husband and wife together. And in high school, I messed up and kissed some girls. And that caused more problems for me because that was sin. And if it's fornication, that's the only sin against one's own body. It can hurt one's own body or cause them to age or look unattractive, and people might look down on them and not love them for it or something. Or might, I don't know, it hurts the body. Fornication's the only sin against one's own body. So the thing about sex by myself or kissing a girl by myself was terrible, and it caused like all kinds of bad things. Like, it smells like a fart now and stuff, and it just feels so bad. And oh no, I don't know what it is, and I don't know, and that caused problems. But for some reason, when I was a smaller child, up till 12, I had the best life ever. I didn't know what sex was. I kind of knew what kissing girls was, and that, I think, caused me to have a little bit of body fat and be a little chubby, and people didn't love me in the same way as they did before. So the only thing that I am a little not understanding about is that, okay, they can hurt your body, they can hurt your body and you can still forgive them. But if they try to do a gay sex act to you, that's a sin. So, are you allowed to hurt them in some way, I don't know, to hurt them, to stop them from doing a gay sex act against you? That's homosexuality. That's a sin that is punishable by death, that causes one's own body to die if they do a gay sex act in real life. Unless by some miracle with God, there may be an exception that it was like, it didn't really, in some miracle of a way, that God can get a camel through an eye of a needle for a rich person, a huge camel through an eye of a needle into heaven through a rich person. You need God to do that, or there's no other way for a rich person to get into heaven. Only God knows how to do that. So with God, you can do all things, but with man, there's nothing. There's nothing. And so the only thing I don't understand is if somebody or the devil tries to punish you by doing a gay sex act to you with all their heart, and it feels like it's being done to you, are you allowed to hurt them to stop them from doing it, whatever you think their soul is who caused that? Or is that crazy? And I don't know, because I try to not hurt him, and I try to not hurt him, and I try to not hurt him with my heart. And I would never hurt them in real life because I don't want to get in trouble unless it's wrong or sinful, because I wouldn't want to do anything bad that would ever be bad or wrong unless it's like, oh, bad, Michael Jackson, right? I make a joke of him, call him Michael Jackson, where, okay, whatever. Or some cool bad thing, like good Michael Jackson or whatever. And, you know, a sin, if they sin against you, if they try to rape you or do homosexuality, I think I'm going to look it up in the Bible right now, because that's one thing I was kind of unsure about. Are you able to defend yourself if they try to force you into homosexuality? But if it's your own wife, or unless you're crazy, because she hasn't done it in real life, like if she tried to punish me because I thought about her in a sexual way, if she didn't feel like thinking about it, and I couldn't help it, it was going crazy that she wasn't there to even be in the next room, would be a miracle, even if I didn't have sex or anything, to be, you know, in the same house as her and the kids, you know, to get along with them and feel actually loved at home by a human being, you know, I have God or whatever. And hi. So I don't know if it's okay to hurt anyone if they try to rape you in a gay way, unless it's like with all the heart and it makes you feel some annoying feeling to your asshole all the time or something. Are you allowed to just like, you know, like wherever it's coming from, hurt them? Or would that be hurting an innocent person with all your heart? Because murder of the heart is bad in the Bible. It's really bad. It's almost as bad as it could lead to real murder, God says. But that's not possible how I married my wife, because in her family, they never hurt anyone in real life, but they might really think mean things about them. And so it's almost impossible for them to break the law. They follow the law in America really well. They never really physically hurt anyone or do anything too crazy. But if somebody tries to rape you with all their heart to your butt or do something crazy, is that insane? Or so that's the only thing that I don't know, like, other than if it was in real life and someone tried to rape you, I know you're supposed to fight them off. But that's the thing, like, how do you know if you gave up? If a woman gave up, does that make her married to the person who raped her if they made a baby? And when is it called? Why would they ever do that to a woman? Unless it was your wife and she had a fantasy about that, you know, and she asked you to rape her or something, which shouldn't be rape if people are married. I think if a wife asked a husband to rape her, I think that's allowed in a marriage if she asked him to rape her, because they're already married and they're allowed to have sex because they have say over one another's body. The man has say on the woman's whole body, and the woman has say on the man's whole body. You know? So he has say on her whole body too. You know? And they're of the same flesh when they get married. So, how could rape be possible if they're married? I don't understand, especially when she asked her husband to rape her. How could that be bad? Don't really get it. I don't really get it. Those are kind of things that I don't really understand. Okay. No. Sit your fat ass down on sports, champ. Wussy. Oh, I gotta type my password in. No. Okay. Check this. Oh, you gotta put it. The devil kept making a fart smell in here. Hi, I'm gonna check the chat. I'm gonna look at who chatted, who typed, who didn't write, who smells so bad. Bro, it's March. Get that tree down. Hi, John. Coach John. Hey, that's nice. Go line. Hokey pokey po. Hey, yeah, it's time to put the tree away. You would have a lot more room for stunts. Well, I'm leaving it up as a decoration. Poor guy, his dad clearly failed to give him the most basic sports knowledge. I wish I could help. John would have been a good athlete. Well, the baseball one was pretty good. I know how to play the rules of baseball the best. Probably that and skateboarding. Well, skateboarding and baseball and golf. I know the basics of golf and some other sports. And I could probably play in a basketball team. Okay. But football, I gotta learn a little bit more about, but I'm good at doing the physical stuff. Before I'd have to learn, I could probably I'd be afraid of being tackled by a bunch of those big heavy guys. If by some miracle I could mentally, I could overcome the fear of that and be so athletic that I knew even if they fell on me, I'd be physically okay. Then maybe I could play like really good football. And I play soccer too. I'm pretty good at soccer. I looked old. Okay, that's great. Wasn't supposed to say. John would have been a good athlete. Would have been. They'd crush you. They would. They'd show us how to put the tree away. They wouldn't crush me. Oh yeah. Have me leftover soup. No. I threw the soup away. It went bad. Let's get this. Let's do this. Let's do this. She's good. I'm gonna. Hey. Okay. Is it a sin? Is it a sin? Okay. Okay. Is it a sin to physically defend yourself by hurting a rapist, God and Jesus in the Bible? God and Jesus in the Bible. I typed in my friend's name, O.D. When we were growing up, we had this guy who we were all friends with called O.D. He came into town from Washington almost out of who knows where. He showed up in town, this really good looking kid who was a teenager like us. I think he was by himself and didn't have his parents. He was really good looking, in good shape, and he talked like a wigger and was white and had enough money to pay for himself or something like that. And they called him O.D., Jason. And he hung out and everyone thought he was one of the coolest ones. He just came into town from Washington when he was like a teenager. He was like 17. And I think his mom and dad weren't with him in Roanoke, but they were, hopefully to God, they're still alive, but I don't know where they are. And he hung out with everyone and partied, and everyone thought he was so cool, and they called him O.D. And then he was a wigger, and he was a really good guy, and he skateboarded too. And he's one of the best looking ones that everyone thought was cool and all, and many of the girls liked and stuff. And then he made a baby with one of the best looking girls. He was like a singer in a band that we played at my house, at my mom and dad's house that we played in. And I played drums. I played drums at my mom and dad's house in the 90s. And it was pretty fun. And I played drums, and she sang. Her name was Shanna, and she's still in the town. And we were good friends. And he married her at a young age. I was never physically intimate with her. And I don't know if I'd ever have to marry her, but I'm with Danica. And So we were into cool music, and we like go to shows that played like cool music back then or whatever. And she was the singer in the band, and I played drums, and the other kids played bass and guitar. And we had that. I had that same Marshall amplifier down back then in the night. That's downstairs back then in the 90s. And some other drum set that I gave to my little sister Taza that's pretty good. Ew. And OD, Jason, he was a good looking guy, came into town all by himself when he was only 17. It was like the coolest one of all the young teenagers or something that everybody liked. And he came to town and said, I'm from DC. And he talked like a wigger, and he was white. And he had like a gold chain. He'd walk around with no shirt on, and everyone thought he was so cool. And he was like in good shape and stuff, and he skateboarded. And he'd party and stuff. And then the other one of the really good looking ones, Shanna, it was Shanna. And there's another one who I don't want to mention right now. He was one of my best friends, or hopefully still is by some miracle. And he was like the best looking one or whatever of, that was his thing. He was really good at other stuff. And then the guy Jason, OD, they called him, who would like party. And they thought he was so cool. And I wondered how he was in such skinny good shape. And I still thought I was fat, even though I had gotten skinny and cool. Some of it I looked like a model and stuff. And I was afraid to take my shirt off in front of people. And then so he is still alive and well, I think. Yeah, he's still alive and well. He married Shanna, or they made a baby at a young age, like 18 or 19 or 20 or something like that. And I think he was 18 or 19. He must have been 19. And they made a baby. And it kind of was difficult for him to pay for the kid all of a sudden. And he had to, he had to go to work at like almost anything he could to pay for his daughter. So he, instead of partying and stuff like that and being the coolest one, he had to get to work, and he gained some weight. He must have only gained like 40 pounds or 30 pounds, maybe 20 pounds for back then. And people were so into their looks in the 90s, and they thought they had to look like a movie star in real life, like every moment, like when the light hit them right to their faces. And if they didn't, they made fun of them and stuff and said that there's like something wrong with them or something. And so he got a job like doing construction or something, like long hours. And that's kind of what his life became, like raising his daughter with the young girl who he made a baby with and married, Shanna. And they must have a daughter today who must be like, I don't know how old, and 20 something or 30 something, I don't know. And so then, this is the good thing. This is the cool thing. He kept working. And then he lost kind of most of the weight. And he got cool and good looking again somehow. And, kids were so mean to him about that they thought like, what happened to OD now? He's like fat or something like that. And he only gained like 20 pounds or 30 pounds or 40 pounds because of how they all were. And, then he kept working, and I think he
he got to some kind of cool way in his life that he had a bunch of money, and not like super rich, like millions. Maybe he has $1 million. I don't know. Maybe he has 800,000. Maybe he only has 200,000. I don't know if he has any money or not. But he was able to buy cool things. Like he bought his own house, and he lost weight, and he looked good looking. He's in. I think he's in one of my videos. I think he's in one of my videos on a skateboard ramp. Yeah, and he got pretty close to his same weight that he was when he was a teenager, not in high school. But I don't know if he didn't go to any high school. He just hung out with everyone and became the coolest one. He just he just like walked into the town and said he was from DC and talked like a wigger and acted really cool, and everyone thought he was so cool. And he was like a teenager, like 17. I think his mom and dad were back in DC. I don't know how he got there, and he'd like sleep on people's couches or something, and they thought he was so cool. And then he went to work. I don't know if he lived in. He would sleep at various people's apartments and houses and stuff. And then he went to work, and it was hard to do. And I don't know what he worked at, but he got a regular job in construction. I think it was construction. And then he eventually lost weight, and it's terrible what happened to him one time. But it's terrible what happened to him one time. It's terrible. It's funny what happened to him one time. But then he got plenty of money. He bought his own house and was cool and had like kind of cool cars or something like that, and stuff. Well, not really cool cars, but he wasn't like a loser, and he's still friends with us, and he raised his daughter, and he paid for his daughter. And then there's something really weird that he did. Oh no, it was terrible. I couldn't understand what happened to him, but I can't tell you. But it was sad because the whole time he's talking black, and he was like, "Yo, what I'm saying, look at this long arm down there." And then so then he I don't know, but so he had to almost act like the opposite of it one time. I couldn't understand. I was like, why did he do that? And he had never been that way in high school when he was the coolest one, and a little after that. But I think he's back to normal again. Sometimes he talks like some famous rapper or something. So maybe he'd be in one of my videos or one of his own videos, or be in a band or something, or say hi or something like that if he's out there watching or whatever. And his name was OD, and his name was also Jason, and he's pretty cool. And they're like, there must have been maybe thousands of people we knew back then, and it was in the 90s, and we thought we were superhuman. We thought, not superhuman like I talked about nowadays, but we thought we were invincible. We thought we were invincible. And people would drive in a car and fly over some huge thing and land like the Dukes of Hazzard. And they would, it would be on some public road. And that was just one of the things that they would do. And they didn't get a scratch on them. And then there's some kid who, there's some guy who's a little older than us, and he went drunk, and he got really drunk and went drunk and driving, and a bunch of the kids used to drink and drive in the 90s. It was more acceptable back then. It's really weird. A DUI back then wasn't that serious of a thing. It was like a kind of a slap on the wrist, kind of a small thing that there might be a fine for. And then in today's time, or starting in maybe the later 2000s or the 2000s or the 2010s, the 2010s, if you got a DUI, it was like nowadays it is a seriously wrong thing. It's like a $10,000 fine. It's like a $10,000 fine, and who knows what kind of punishment it could be. It's frightening. And the worst part about it is if somebody was drunk and driving around crazy, they could kill people or something, and that's when it's scary. But there are all these people who have regular jobs in the town in Roanoke or regular towns, and they're upstanding people. They're like regular citizens who are respected in the community, and they dress normally as if they did nothing wrong, and they're pretty good. Most of them are pretty good, but some of them had a drinking problem. They had to go to AA, and they had to not be drinkers anymore. But hopefully none of them drink and drive. But the weird thing. Oh, one guy who he ended up in a wheelchair. How afraid those teenagers were, who thought they had to look perfect in every light, from this angle, that angle, and they had to always look like they were somebody who they saw in the magazines, or they made fun of them. That was pretty much all of us, and we thought it would be such a horrible tragedy to gain 20 pounds and or 10 pounds of fat, and and so we didn't understand. But some of them may have been more understanding about like really meaningful things, like how I live today for God, for God with everything I do. So if there's somebody in a wheelchair, it doesn't at all affect me in a way that I think is so bad or so weird. Like I'm used to being around older people who have suffered a little because their bodies got old. They when they wake up, and sometimes they realize they're old, and they can't go back to being young, and it's pretty sad. And but then it goes away and they feel young again and stuff. So I think that's how most all of the old people in my life are. I think that's how all of them are. Even my Aunt Terry, who's 94. There's Mishka, he's like 84 or 85, and he looks young. He kept skinny. He like stayed skinny and did work around the yard and stuff. And when he was 78, he said, "I'm young," and he dressed cool and had like long gray hair on the sides, and like his hair is bald on the top. He had like long gray hair, kind of a little, and he dressed in like overalls from like a different time, like it was like 100 years ago, and it looked cool the way he wore his clothes. And I was like, wow, it's Mishka. And and I made his friend, and he was 78, and he felt young, and he looked young, and he looked cool. He like looked cool, and it made me realize that when people get older, they can look really cool and good and stuff, because then. And I noticed it with Al too. He's not down there now. But when he was in my videos, sometimes he had a young looking face, and he was really cool and talked about stuff I liked and stuff. I was like, hey, older people are really cool. I used to not have as many of them in my really life close to, besides my mom and dad. Of course, my mom and dad and grandparents and some others. But then I had to become friends with much older people. There are two people in this neighborhood. One of them's in his 60s, Tim, used to be like 50 something, early 50s, maybe 52 or something when he got here. I don't know. 54 or 52. He's 60. He's not that old. That's how some of those cool famous actors from the 80s, that's kind of the age they are, like 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. I don't know. But so they're still kind of like cool and stuff. So he's 60, but his body sometimes is, he's like, John, he's not running up and down the hill all the time, but he's young sometimes, so it's not that bad. But there's another guy in this neighborhood who's like 70, I think, but I think he's also kind of young feeling sometimes. And my dad, who's sometimes feels old, and sometimes he's the coolest one and looks young and goes out there walking around like he's cool and young. And he didn't have that when he was younger. He was like a nerd for like I don't know, the 1988, 1980s, but he was like not cool to me, some good-looking people, like some like Nirvana lead singer, like some, what is his name, Nirvana lead singer, like Kurt Cobain, or the coolest people ever on earth who played cool music or something like that. I didn't think of my dad in that way, but he kind of like, he didn't care about his looks, and he worked really hard to pay for the family, and drove a nerdy looking old minivan with dents in it, and he didn't have cool cars, and he worked really hard the whole time, and it was for God. And so he worked for God, and then in the past like 5 years, but when he did business, it was a little frightening. Like I had to he'd be like walking down the sidewalk, and I'd be on the sidewalk and fall off the sidewalk into the dirt when I was in my 30s, like for him to stand there. And I couldn't even, he would make me fall in the dirt sometimes. But then, so something about our relationship, I thought he had like a saggy neck, and I was like, I didn't want to be like him. I thought he didn't look that good. But then he got like, no. And then in the past 2020s to today or whatever, he got cool, and I believed in him because once I made friends with like Mishka and Al. And I realized that like when people got older, like Al still dresses cool sometimes and wears those weird sunglasses, or I don't know, but he dressed cool and was like fun, like a young person or something. Then I realized, wait a second, and then I started being the same. I started realizing, I started standing up for my dad, looking good, and then I helped my dad get into working out, like swimming, and I got him a workout bike. I got him 3 workout bikes. I found one on the side of the road that was good enough for him to strengthen his legs with low impact to his knees. That I found that the workout bikes, you can do that to strengthen your legs with low impact to the joints as you get older, instead of running, walking, or jogging. But walking's good. And it was even less impact. Well, it has good impact, and it helps the muscle. So then I got him that workout bike, and it was an old one, but it worked enough to actually, it was like one of those 70s ones, but it looked like new. It was like almost like a renovated cool one from the 70s I found on the side of the road. It looked like a cool vintage one. And I got him that, and then I just put it in my car one day and brought it to him. And then I got him another one from like some Goodwill place, or found it somewhere else. And then I bought him one from Amazon, like a really good one that was kind of good. I don't know how much money it cost, maybe $200 or I don't know. And but it's a really good workout bike, and he has that now. He has the really good one I got him on Amazon. And I think I put it together at his house, but I don't remember. And so he works out with a workout bike. And then I talked to him about the benefits of swimming to help his health. And then, so I'm kind of like a personal trainer with the workout stuff I did. So I helped him, but I started taking the personal trainer class, and I had a few more quizzes to go. I might become a personal trainer, but for some reason I had to do other things like be there for my kids. So I'm not a personal trainer, but it's easy enough. I think I have a few more quizzes and I can become a personal trainer. So I have some kind of ability at helping others or healing others with their physical body. And I had that ability for, I don't know, maybe since I moved back to Roanoke, and I had it with my wife, of course. I helped her look really good looking by believing in her with all I had and being the same flesh as her. We tried to be perfect looking and physically. Like we at one time, like I learned how to be like really good looking because I thought they made fun of me as a kid. I felt not loved by people as I used to. When I was a really little kid, I had no worries. Everybody loved me everywhere I went. But when I was introduced to a sin of temptation of girls, it like made me feel insecure about myself, and it made people be mean about the way I looked. They started saying mean things to me. It made me feel bad, like, and so I worked really hard at trying to look really good, so I didn't feel made fun of anymore. It made me feel really good, like I did when I was a little kid. And one time, this was in 2018, I think. I was 40. It was the summer of 2018. I had lost weight and I got really good looking. My face looked good. It didn't have the fat on it. And I went to the Natural Foods Co-op place, and I had really been working on my looks and appearance, and trying to be a movie star and make enough money at being a lead actor and stuff like that. And I went to the Natural Foods Co-op place, and God told me to stop and look around. And I wasn't aware of it until I stopped and looked around. And this was a miracle. I stopped and I looked, and there are young women. There are young women, older women, women in their 30s, 40s, 20s, teenagers, women. There are about maybe 10 or 6 or 7 or 20 of them. They all were, I looked from one to the next to all the different women, and I wasn't thinking anything sexual about them. And they were staring, they all noticed how good looking I really was. And it was like I had become one of the best looking people maybe in the whole town. And I was like, really special, or maybe in America that could have been, maybe still able to, if I want to lose all this fat, maybe I can be a superstar, movie star. And I was 40, and they all noticed, they like, there's nothing sexual or bad about it, but they noticed really how good looking I was. And I had tried to be the next Superman actor and stuff like that, and I got like really good looking, and guys really all noticed. And that was it. I felt loved. There's nothing sexual about it. I didn't think of any of it in a sexual way that I'm aware of. But back then, I gave into temptation more a little bit, and so I've had to be abstinent and celibate since after that year, after 2018, a little later in the year, or sometime in the year. I haven't had sex since then, so that's been terrible. And they aren't having anyone to love or hug or love me in real life, whether or not sex, because it's a little too awkward for me to hug anyone besides my wife or kids and maybe my mom. And I can kind of hug Taze a little, and Krista a little, and I don't know if I'm able to hug my dad, but the real love comes from like God, but without the human beings. It's like Adam and Eve, like Adam alone in the Garden of Eden before Eve was created. Before Eve was created, maybe she was like in heaven somewhere or something, but when he was alone, it just didn't feel good enough to have to keep living or something, maybe. But maybe he wasn't that depressed or suicidal or anything like that, but he felt alone. God acknowledged that. He saw that Adam was alone. So he created Eve out of his rib to be his equal. And some people who are single feel really good without a wife, but they're not like Adam in particular. They're like Jesus, or supposed to be like Jesus, because ideally God wants us to be without a wife or husband, or without a husband. He wants us to be like Jesus and to not think about sex and to not give into temptation. But single people may have some tendency to want to be with a woman or man here and there, and the fornication that they do is a sin. And it's way worse if a married couple fornicates with anyone else. It's called adultery. If they do that with anyone else besides their husband or wife, it's way worse of a sin to be an adulterer, that the punishment is death if they do adultery with anyone else. and fornication, the punishment is not death. However, if they continue to fornicate until they die, and they die being a fornicator, whatever a fornicator is considered, if they are one when they die, God says fornicators will have their place in the lake of fire. So they'll end up in hell if that's who. But I think what it means is that if they are a fornicator, if that's who they were as a person, they fornicated that much that that's who they are, then they'll have their place in the lake of fire. But if they only did it a few times and then stopped and had to suffer and repent, felt sorry for what they did, and they couldn't be with anyone like until they died, like my uncle, well, like unless they came back to life, like somebody like Al who died and came back to life or something, who knows. But my Uncle Richard died suffering. He was really depressed. He was kind of worse than depressed because his wife died in like the year 2000, and he didn't get her back until he died in 2018. So that was only 18 years that he had to suffer until he died without his wife. So I thought it was like almost the whole time I knew him, besides the 90s and the year 2000. I could feel when I knew when his wife died, Lavinia. She was from Wales. She died in the year 2000. I was in a movie set with Danica. We were making a movie, and it was so fun. And all of a sudden, I felt something. It was the middle of the night, and I knew she was dead. And I was really close to her, and I really loved her. Well, I was pretty close to her, and I loved her. Aunt Lavinia. She'd make me pies and stuff, and I would try to be skinny, and I would try to hardly eat any food. Like, there's some guy, he watches his videos, looks skinny, and younger people in their like teens to early 20s kind of had that look of skinniness, and they would try to not eat. And that's not something I aspire to. But back then, I would try to hardly ever eat any food because I just thought I didn't look good enough, even though I was working so hard at trying to not eat anything. I thought they'd call me fat. And so Aunt Lavinia, sometimes she'd be peaceful, and she'd have a pie. She'd have a pie, and she'd like make me feel calm and at peace. And she'd say, "Would you want a piece of pie?" And she'd offer me a piece of pie and say, "I'm trying to be skinny. I don't know if I'll," or something like that. But I wouldn't say it out loud. Back then it was the 90s, and you had to pretend that you weren't really trying to. And I don't know why, but so she'd offer me a piece of pie, and then like I just ate the pie anyway, even though it had sugar in it, and I thought it might make me a little heavy. I ate it anyway, and it was fun to eat the pie with whipped cream on it or whatever. And so I felt some kind of special connection to her and my grandmother grandma, who when I was a little kid, I'd go to her house, and everything was normal and peaceful and okay, and there wasn't like an awkward feeling the whole time of like something that I had to go through since I was from the age of about 12, and it was okay. But you know, eventually I had to keep working, and I started getting depressed. But in the days when I had my grandmother in the 90s, and it was in the 80s when I was a little kid, she'd tell me to sleep on the bed, or she'd say, you know, they're never mean. They never said any curse words. They never hurt me. They never said any mean thing to me ever, my grandparents. And my grandfather is with the Holy Spirit, and he is with the peaceful love of the Holy Spirit. He doesn't have any sin. He's with the peaceful love of the Holy Spirit. I don't know where my grandmother is, who was married to him, but she suffered in old age alone, and I could tell she was suffered in videos of her. So I think she made it to heaven, or I don't know where she is, but I think she watches over my dad, but I don't know if that's real or not. Because you're not supposed to consult spirits after they die. But for some reason, God told me my grandfather was like a powerful policeman or whatever. You know, he ended up he wasn't a millionaire when he died, and he suffered too and got old, and he got cancer and died, and he's with the Holy Spirit somehow. And my grandmother would she'd let me sit in the bed, but it feels so bad right now. It feels so awkward and bad, and I feel dirty and unclean. I think I showered. Yeah, I showered. And I showered, so I don't know what I'm worried about. But so back then, it was like everything was okay, and I get to feel that way sometimes now too. But like these days, I get to feel that way sometimes too. But the thing is, I have to kind of like, God is the only one who can do that. But when I had my grandmother there, she let me sleep in the bed, and it was the perfect temperature. It was like a little bit cool, and it was like Ireland or something. And the sheets and the blanket were clean, and I was really clean, and I think I was always clean. And I was a little kid. I was a little boy. I must have been 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 or 8. And I'd go to sleep in the bed, and it felt like a little bit cool, the temperature, and it felt the perfect temperature. And she'd let me go to sleep, and they called it taking a nap. It was before there was any anxiety or worry about what words meant. And everything was okay back then. Nothing bad ever happened. And even if something that's supposed to be bad, I felt I felt no pain. I was unable to feel any pain. Even if some bad thing happened to my body, if I needed surgery or anything like that, like I had a hernia. I had a hernia one time, operation when I was a child. It just felt like I couldn't walk as fast, and I was walking slower and didn't know why. And I felt no pain. I was unable to feel pain, and everything was like a good dream. And my mom and dad would like take me out to Moore's. They had this hardware store called Moore's, or different places out in public. And people were so loving and nice, and they liked to see me when I was a little kid. And there's no sin about me or anyone. And I didn't know what white was, and I didn't know what black was. And when I saw somebody back then who today would be called black, it was like a good dream. It was like a good dream being alive. And nothing bad ever happened. Unless, like, sometimes if my body was hurt, I couldn't feel pain. It just felt like I wasn't able to move it as fast. And I pretty much had no memory of it after that. And I only remember the good times of feeling loved by others out in public. My mom and dad, of course, loved me back then. There was no awkwardness about thinking about sex or something that made them distant from me a lot. And there's nothing bad. And it was like the whole time, ages from when I was a baby. And, when I was a baby, I was born with blonde hair. And for some reason, I thought that I always had dark hair. But we found baby pictures in the first year or two when I was alive, or first year, or I don't know what, because I'm supposed to be there for my kids, but she hasn't let me stay at her house. I don't know why, because the sin did it to us. The devil did it to us. So hopefully I get my wife and kids back. But I had blonde hair when I was born. It was more like my dad. I was like my dad's kid, and then something happened that made me more like my mom. But I was I never had to look in a mirror. I had no concept. It looked backwards to me to have to look in a mirror. And I had no concept of like trying to do something to my hair to make it look good, and I had no concept of trying to with all my heart trying to look or pose cool or something like that. I didn't have to ever worry or think about any of it, and it was like there's never a problem with anything, and it was a good dream to be alive, and there was like no real sin, and there was love from everybody everywhere I went, and it was like I was like a really special person who everyone gave attention and love to, and looking at what happened to my life, I don't know, it's just so different than I ever would have thought. But after childhood until about age 10, I started noticing girls, 9 or 10, and then, you know, I didn't know what sex was, if it was kissing that made a baby or something or what. But I knew I loved this one girl. I had a crush on her. I don't know if I loved her, but I had a crush on her, and a little soon after I got a crush on her, because God wouldn't let me talk to the girls in real life. I was unable to talk to them for some reason. I thought maybe, whoa, she's pretty or something. The first time I had a crush on a girl, and maybe in kindergarten, I thought I'd get to kiss him on the cheek. I maybe kissed him on the cheek in kindergarten, but I didn't know what sex was. That was a weird thing. My mom at this private school where all the rich kids went, when I was like, I only went there for when I was 4 and maybe 5, or I repeated the same grade or something because I was too small, like my son Rowan did. And my mom like made me the most popular one at a big party with all the rich kids, and I was the star of the whole thing. And I was like 4 or 5, and I was really good looking, and she like maybe somehow, I don't know what she did, but in the pictures I had like 2 of the girls on my sides, and I was kissing them on the cheek, and they all said that they all said that I was their boyfriend. They said I'm his girlfriend and stuff like that. But I only kissed him on the cheek. I didn't know what sex or anything like that was. But it was at the really rich. Some of them were really rich. It was a private school, and my mom and dad were like, they had a kind of above average or upper class money, but they weren't rich yet, or something. But she really was emotional about stuff and did like big things and stuff. So she made this huge party, birthday party. It was like 4 or 5, and she made me the coolest, best looking good one or something, or God did, and she tried to introduce me to girls or something. I kissed one on the cheek and kissed the other on the cheek or something like that. And I went around and kissed, the girls would kiss me on the cheek, and they all thought we were boyfriend and girlfriend or something. It was this big birthday party with all with all the rich kids, like the really rich, powerful families, the children of them at the private school. And I was the star of the whole show. It was like, John, his birthday, how great he is. And I was like, my nose looked like a perfect, good-looking nose, like of a model with a little, like tiny little, like perfect looking shape that I was unaware of, that I never even looked in a mirror to know, but I felt like everyone loved me and there's nothing wrong with me ever, and I had no sin, and I was like the best of everything. But she went a little too far maybe at the birthday party, and I was like, I kissed the girls on the cheek. I had 2 of them next to me, these really good looking girls, and I thought I loved them, and I was a star of the show, but really good looking and the coolest one. And I didn't know what I was doing. She just made a cool birthday party for me, and I kissed him on the cheek. I didn't do anything that bad. And then, after that, if you can imagine how powerful their parents were, and I was the one who they're saying, I'm his girlfriend too, and stuff like that. And I was like the star of the whole show, huge birthday party, the rich kids thing they're all invited to. And then after that, I was in and out of the hospital with various hospitalizations, like all these like maybe the really wealthy elite people were like, who is he? Kissed our daughter or something like that. Young man, we have $200 million or $80 million, maybe one of them, or something like that. And those, well, he has $80 million or whatever, or I don't know. And to the other ones, and I have 20 million, 10 million or something. Why did he get his our daughters? Something like the emperor or something like, wheelchair, or something like that to me. I don't know what. Or, wait, they didn't do it at all. Who are you kidding? Many of the rich people get right into heaven. I don't know why God didn't say that. And so, no. And so somehow the sin of loving other girls in some way that I wasn't aware of what sex was or anything, but I kissed them on the cheek. Maybe the sin of it, just only that one time, and then I never really was aware of any of that until I was about 10 after that. But after that birthday party that was in public, and I didn't do anything wrong besides kiss him on the cheek, and maybe my love in my heart, the love of the heart was wrong about loving the various girls I thought were pretty and everything, and I thought was so great. And somehow after that, I was in and out of the hospital with like various problems. One of the things that happened is my mom was a real estate agent, and I remember it like a good dream from the early 80s. It was like a movie of a good dream in heaven, and it was a sunny day, and everything was okay back then, and there were no problems, and it was a sunny day. No. And then she let me run around in the backyard, and it was like a different time. It was like the 70s, but it was 1982 or 83 or 81 or 80, or no, it wasn't 80 because I would have only been 2 or 3, but it must have been 83 or 84 or probably 82. And it was still kind of like the 70s, the way everything was back then. It was a bright sunny day, and the sun was almost like a different time back then or something. And it was like a good dream. And I was running in the grass in the backyard of the real estate house she was like doing some real estate thing at as a real estate agent. And I ran in the grass in the backyard, and I jumped on a giant log. Now, yay! And but it wasn't nerdy. Like, I never cried, I think. I never cried. I didn't complain. We never said curse words. There was hardly any sin, and it felt like a good dream to be alive. But then, after I kissed all those girls at private school or whatever on the cheek, and if they thought, how many girlfriends do you have, John? And they thought it was funny. I didn't know what it meant. But after that, I must have loved it in the heart, and I didn't know what it was. And somehow, I jumped on a log in the backyard of the real estate thing in the 70s. It was bright and sunny, or not in the 70s, in 1982, but it was like the same kind of time was still lingering until the 1982, and it was like a good dream. And I stepped in the log and jumped on it or something, and all these bees came out, and I got stung all over my body. I got stung all over my body in at least 100 bee stings, or 200 or more, all over my body. Little bee stings covered my whole body, and they tried to get rid of the clothing, and they may have rushed me to the hospital or something like that. But it was only bee stings, so I don't know if they kept me in a hospital bed or not. And I can't tell you, but there are other hospitalizations. One of them was a double hernia when I was a small boy, and it just felt, I didn't feel any pain, but it felt like instead of being able to walk around Disneyland, I could only walk slow, and I felt tired, so they made me sit in a stroller, even though I was like too old. I was a little older than being in a stroller. I was like 5 or 4 or 5 or something, or 6. And I had to get a double hernia operation, like a big adult man or something like that. Both sides of it, I had to get a hernia operation when I was really little. So I was in the hospital for that. And so Then, you know, I was pretty good. I went back to being normal and everything's okay. And like kind of a good dream was pretty good. And there's almost no sin or anything. And it's awful what happened when people got misled in their faith, and I was made more aware of sin in the past, like since about 2005 one time, and then it went back to normal when Rowan was a baby. I was in Roanoke and made the Vampires of Zanzibar, and it was like pretty normal when I had a good life to look forward to still the whole time up until then. Even though in high school the temptation to girls really made it like a lack of it. Well, it was kind of like unrest and stuff, having to be in a classroom like almost every few seconds or something. I was worried they were looking at some flaw in my body, and it was difficult for me all through high school. Besides maybe a few classes I liked, and it was okay. If I had to go back to then, I had really something to look forward to. It wasn't that bad. I wasn't depressed yet or anything. But then I got like a really, I don't know, depressed or something because I was sinful and mean. I was really sinful and mean for about 3 months. And then I did sexual immorality. That was another sin. So it caused me to suffer for like from 2015 to today, maybe like 30% of the time, or 40. It was 40% of the time. But the past month, I've only felt bad and suffered like, with depression, probably about like 10% of how much depression I used to have for the sadness and crying about my kids and stuff like that, for the sin that I did. So most of my depression went away. That's a miracle. Most of my depression went away. And I think now there's going to be, I don't know, but I know I have a future to look forward to, and everything is supposed to be okay. So I'm supposed to have a future to look forward to, and everything was supposed to be good. It is supposed to be good. But I don't know. But that's what they try to get me to admit to. I don't really know what's going to happen. But God told me I get to live until the judgment day and then live forever in heaven. But then when I started telling people, they thought, oh, you're going to die of a tragedy or something. But that's not real. That's not real. I think it's not real. Unless I die of a tragedy and am brought back to life, that would be awful. If I unless I get to see what heaven is like, how Al died and he went out of his body and looked down at it on the ground, hovering above it, when he tried marijuana for the first time. I know. He died and he hovered above his body, like way high in the ceiling. He looked down and saw his body there, and they were trying to revive him or something. And gosh, he's gotten so old, and sometimes he's young, acting, and he looks kind of cool. Sometimes he's okay or whatever, and he's healthy sometimes, but he's gotten old. So hopefully I get back to my wife and kids, and everything will be okay. And that's how kind of like the story of my life has been till today. I'm going to try to look this up. Is it a sin? Is it a sin to defend yourself by hurting a rapist? Who knows? I've looked it up before. Is it okay for a woman to defend herself against a rapist, and does it make her married to him if it makes a baby? Well, only God can marry two people, but so I don't know. Okay, you can look that stuff up about God and Jesus in the Bible, and praise God, praise Jesus. I don't know what's going on with my hair. I don't really like the way it looks right now, but it's okay. I might shave the sides and try to grow this in more and maybe dye it again. Okay, praise God, praise Jesus, bye. Oh, I'm going to look at the chat, or the live chat. Yeah, the live chat. Ooh. Hi, I'm gonna look at the live chat. Hey, I wonder where it is. Hey, there's a bunch of no. I'm a nerd. Oh, great. Yeah, me and Taser play music or something. Okay. Oh, I've always blinked that way. Oh, I've always blinked a bunch more. Well, when I was a teenager, I started. Well, I didn't do it as a kid. I don't remember. I think I didn't blink until I was a teenager. Until I was uh, until I was living in that house that's in some of my videos where my mom and dad live there in that gray house or whatever, that big cool gray house or whatever. And I hope they're okay. Praise God. I hope all of you make it to heaven. I hope all of you make it to heaven. In Jesus' name, amen. Hi. Okay, bye. I hope to God all of you make it to heaven. Praise God. Praise Jesus. I hope your lives are okay. I hope you don't have to suffer. I hope you don't sin because it causes more suffering for others. And you're supposed to be kind to others. And don't worry about yourself, but, it hurts God when you sin. So be kind to God. All the love comes from God. I hope God loves you. You always know that God loves you. God will always love you while you're alive on this earth and probably forever in heaven. So hopefully you don't end up in hell. He's angry at them because they became the sin itself. They became the evil crap. So he doesn't love them, and that's why they had to go there. And then they're like, oh crap, their soul is so worried and stuff, and they repent, and then they make it to heaven too after they die down there, and they get to be with God again. We will all be changed. So hopefully, you don't have to end up suffering too much. I hope your lives are good and okay, and you make it to heaven. Bye. Praise God. Praise Jesus. Praise God. Praise Jesus. Okay, I'm going to go. Believe in God and Jesus, and you'll be saved. Live for God with all you do, all for the glory of God. Okay, praise God. Praise Jesus. Bye.